everyone, how are you? I'm Zita Banasinski, your Guiding Luminary. Thank you for joining us today. I'm a life coach, and today I have my wonderful friend and guest, Kimberly Palm. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what we wanted to do today is talk about a number of issues that we're experiencing in the market right now because of the COVID and the war that's going on in the Ukraine. Kimberly and I thought it would be a good idea to talk about how do people can better manage their stress. And what I want to do is perhaps invite Kimberly to share a little bit about herself. But if you don't know already, Kimberly Palm is a well-known psychic medium. She's written a number of books, our bestsellers on the Amazon. And I've got both of her books here, which we're going to talk about, Ascension 101. And the one we're going to really focus on is the second one called The Real Fountain of Youth, an introduction to the Peace Stress Management System by Kimberly Palm, both of which are available on Amazon. So perhaps Kimberly can share a little bit more about yourself. What inspired, and perhaps tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write this book?
It actually all ties together because I wrote that book because of my story or because of my background. But thank you so much, Zita. So first of all, I'm going to correct you. I'm not a psychic medium. Psychic mediums can talk to dead people, and I do not do that. I don't do it. I don't want to do it. I don't, not what I do.
I meant to say psychic.
Yeah, I'm psychic and clairvoyant and clairaudient and clairsentient and all of that kind of stuff, like intuitive, empathic, all of that. And I'm an energy healer above anything else. I've studied how to heal the body for 36 years. So part of my story is basically, I was born with a whole bunch of interesting gifts. My mother had them, my grandma had them, my great grandma had them, all the women on my mom's family, except for my one aunt, for some reason, she got skipped. But everybody else had these abilities, like they'd read tea leaves or they know future, like they were prophetic, they'd see the future events and or they knew things, or like my mom could even read my mind. She was telepathic, so she could read my thoughts. Yeah, so it was scary because she always knew what I was thinking, and if I was swearing at her in my head, she'd say, "What did you just say to me?" Yeah, she could hear everything.
That's not good, especially being a teenager.
It was bad. I got slapped a few times. So anyways, so the thing is I was born with these interesting gifts, and then starting when I was about 12 years old, I got really interested in what they call the occult, not really the occult, like not like witchcraft or anything like that, like tarot cards, astrology, crystals, metaphysics, what we call metaphysics, basically. And I started studying it that then, and I've been studying it my entire life, all of those different things, esoterics, religion, studying about world religion. It was really fascinating. Also studying history, archaeology. My father was a huge history buff, and he kind of taught me his love for history. It kind of like went on to me because he was really into that. And both my parents were really into Star Trek and extraterrestrial stuff. They had like kind of an obsession with that. And so that kind of inspired me as well. So I've always been interested in like the paranormal, like ghosts and all that kind of stuff. And so I started studying about all that. And then what happened is when I turned about 19 years old, it was my first part of waking up, what they call waking up. You know how everybody's having these awakenings. My first awakening was at 19 when I found out that big pharma really runs the allopathic medical industry, and that it is this whole thing run by these bad, evil elites to basically keep you sick, take your money, and keep you on these drugs that have millions of side effects and make you sick and don't make you well. Because I had a doctor misdiagnose me and say that I had something that was very horrible and deadly and awful that I did not have, and then handed me a drug immediately. And I, because I'm psychic, I just felt like if I can't take that drug, like I had this voice in my head going, no, she's lying, she's doesn't know what she's doing, she's an idiot, and don't take that. So I went to my mother at the time, who was a nurse. She was a hospital. She worked in hospitals for her whole life, basically, until she died. And she said to me, "You do not have that, and you're going to go see my doctor." And so I went to see her doctor, and her doctor said that the other doctor was a psychopathic moron and that I should sue her in court because she could have killed me, because apparently the drug that she she gave to me, it could have actually made me sick or killed me if I would have taken it, because of the fact that I didn't have whatever that was for. And I'm very sensitive to drugs anyways, and that thing could have killed me. So luckily I had, thank God for my, what I call my spidey senses, my
Right.
intuition, or my X-Men gifts, whatever you call it, you know, my
Right.
supernatural gifts. Because if I wouldn't have had that intuition that told me stop, no, don't do it, you know, if I wouldn't have had that second sense to not do it, if I would have taken that, you and I wouldn't be
We wouldn't
talking
be
right now,
talking.
probably. So, because I could have been either
Really
injured
going.
for life or killed. So that was my wake up moment, that these doctors are not really there to heal anyone. They're just there to push drugs on people. And over the years, I got proven correct over and over, because every time I'd go to doctors, they'd either shake their head and go, "We don't know what's wrong with you," or
Mhm.
they would misdiagnose me over and over and over. And it was the same story. Or I would come down with, let's say I had a sinus infection, and they would give me these big pharma drugs, and the big pharma drugs would give me 500 side effects. I would have every side effect
Wow.
on their list. Like I wound up with tendonitis. I developed that after taking a drug called Levaquin. There's a huge lawsuit against Levaquin right now, because Levaquin causes all kinds of horrible side effects that ruin you for life, like ruin your body. There's lawsuits against naproxen and Advil and all these different things for causing heart problems. I mean, all of these drugs have really horrific problems wrong with them that kill people. And so that was my wake up when I was 19. And from that moment forward, literally, I spent every day of my life up until now having to heal myself and diagnose myself. Well, thank God, over the years, I developed what I call medical intuitive ability. So I'm a medical medium, not a psychic medium, like where you see dead people. I'm able to scan people, including myself, and see what's going on, you know.
Right.
And I don't really do that for clients so much anymore. I don't focus on medical now in my business. I focus on spiritual mostly, only because too many people are lawsuit happy these days, and I don't want people coming back to me and saying, well, you told me to do this. So I don't like to give people health advice anymore. I had a health coaching business for 7 years, and also did energy healing on people, and also did stress management work with people. But basically, for the last 36 years, I've been studying Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, homeopathic medicine, naturopathic medicine, every type of herb and supplement known to man, essential oils, every type of energy medicine kind of thing. I'm certified in a whole bunch of different types of energy healing, and I teach an energy medicine workshop that covers all of the basics. And the reason I had to learn all these things is because I had to keep healing myself over and over again. And then I had a healing business. And the biggest thing about that is I found out many years ago that the number one cause of illness is stress.
Right.
So many years ago, I found out that 98% of illness is caused by stress. And that's why it's called an introduction to the peace stress management system. Because basically, physical health is caused by, your health problems are caused by physical, emotional, chemical, and environmental. That spells peace, PECE. So what happened is in 2011, after I'd already been teaching people, 2011, 2012, I had already been teaching people meditation and all kinds of techniques, because I'm a certified meditation and mindfulness instructor. So I was already teaching people all these different techniques to get rid of their stress. And I was teaching them how to heal their body, and how to do, just how to sleep, how to eat, how to diet properly, how to exercise properly, everything I was teaching people. Yeah. And my boss, Yeshua, popped into my room and said, I want you to put all of your program into a book. And I go, what do you mean my program? He goes, what you've been teaching people, it's like a program. He said, I want you to put it into a book, and I want you to get it out to everybody on the earth. And he said, because every single one of my children on earth are stressed out. He said, everybody on earth is stressed out, and they need this information. So basically, he gave it the name, the Peace Stress Management System. I didn't come up with that name. And the reason he gave it that name is because he said, not me, but he said, I am the Prince of Peace. He was talking about himself. He said, I am the Prince of Peace. And he said, this information in this book is going to give people peace in their lives and with their health, and it's going to help them heal their body and their mind and their spirit, because it's a whole body, mind, spirit transformational healing program.
Yeah.
So I started writing the book. It took me 5 years to write it. I put my 30 plus years of research into that book. Like, I put tons of research. It took me 5 years because I needed to have all the medical like evidence and everything. Cause I had doctors, the first 6 pages of that book are reviews from like medical doctors and chiropractors. And, it's not like some woo woo spiritual book. It's a health book, and it's,
And the thing is, it's not just a book. It's actually really like a little medical encyclopedia, or it's like
yeah,
it's a manual. It's
it's a
something you
manual.
can refer to it over and over again. So you're not just going to read it, put it down. I mean, I bought this in September. I dated it September 4th, 2021. And since then, I'm on my second read because there's a wealth of information. You talk about the good things versus bad kind of stresses. You talk about different eating habits, exercise habits, and everything, how it impacts us physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But then you give us like homework to do. You have references in here.
Yep.
It's just amazing. Perhaps you want to speak about a good stress versus a bad stress and how you help your clients. Because I have clients as well who come in and they're really overwhelmed, because I help with the life work balancing with clients, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking for techniques. So this has become my go-to Bible actually. And so I share
That's
this with my
awesome.
clients all the time. So if you don't have this book, you got to go get it. It's well worth the small investment, because it's something you're going to keep on your bookshelf right at hand. I always have these two, although they're kind of interrelated. This one is very important because of the stress we're living today.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like when we were,
Yeah. Thank
yeah,
you. Thank
yeah.
you. I've had several doctors. So I've had so many doctors. I've probably had like over 100 different doctors read my book. And the one thing that they always say is that it is a lifetime. They said this is not a book that you pick up and read one time. You read it over and over and over, and you use it for life, because you refer back to it, because it is kind of like, I call it a total life makeover, but each chapter has homework. And the important thing is that it's a reference manual. Like you said, you can refer back to it over and over again. Like, there's a whole chapter in there on how to sleep better at night. So like, if you want to know what herbs can I take to sleep before I go to bed at night, it lists all that out. Or
Exactly.
if I have adrenal burnout, what do I do? Because the majority of humanity right now has adrenal burnout,
Yes.
and they're getting misdiagnosed with other things. And I want to share with your viewers, because this is the most important thing people need to understand. When your adrenal level is fried, or your adrenals, when you have insufficient adrenals, or your adrenals are totally fried, it causes hypoglycemia. It can cause diabetes. It can cause high blood pressure, or it can cause too low a blood pressure. It can cause heart problems. It can cause autoimmune disease. It can cause immune system problems where you're sick all the time.
Mhm.
It can cause all sorts of food allergies and other types of allergies, and also cancer. So basically everything. I mean, it's just your whole body system failure is what it
One thing
causes.
I really like about your manual, I'm going to call it a
Mhm.
manual, is the fact is you talk about the different medications, or vitamins, I should say, or herbs, and the combinations. So you don't just list them, you tell us when to use them, what proportions, and when you should or shouldn't. And then you talk about the breathing exercises, you talk about physical exercises, you talk about so much stuff. And I think that is so valuable. And it's easy to go on the internet and you Google something, but you Google it and then you forget it, right? Where you go, Googled who said something and it's controversial. Whereas here, it's right there in the manual, and you just like flip through and there it is. And yeah,
Yep.
like we talked about earlier, subconscious emotional stress, it's something
Mhm.
that does popped. And this is what many of my clients kind of express themselves, because they come in, they're frazzled, they hear all this news going outside, they hear about the disease and everything that we've been living in the last 2 years, and now there's a war that's broken out. There's a war in their own homes sometimes. People are fighting between and amongst themselves. There's a lot of issues. So I refer to this book. It's good for me to tell them a combination of vitamins they can take. And even for the C word, there's there's remedies there, and
Mhm.
very helpful to alleviate some of the symptoms so you're much better. So even lifestyle changes are so important. A lot of my clients, a lot of are women between 30 and 65, and they all want to be super women, and they forget to take care of themselves. And so that's where I try to introduce them through self-care, self-love, and in that process, we need to eat better. We need to take care of ourselves. And little things like putting on our makeup, getting dressed, it boosts our morale and our whole perspective of life. And that does bring down the stress a bit. When you feel good about yourself, you're confident, you walk around with your head a little higher. You
Yeah.
know, I know I do that for myself. I remember I used to walk into work and I said, okay, lift your head and just pretend you're walking on top of the world. And people say, wow, Zita, what happened to you? I was just feeling good, made it better, and, cheer other people up. That's what I like to do.
Or you buy yourself a new dress, like a new outfit. Like
Exactly.
I just ordered myself 2 new sundresses that I got in the mail. I mean, they were really cheap, but I put them on and they look really cute. And you're like, oh, look at my, cute
Look at
sundress,
me.
and you feel good. Yeah, you feel good. And for me, I don't really care about what other people think about me. It's about me feeling good about myself. It's not really, oh, I'm doing this because for other people. Like, I don't do it for other people. I don't care if people look at me and like what I'm wearing or don't like what I'm wearing or how my hair is or my makeup or this or that.
Yeah.
Just like if I put makeup on, I'm not putting it on for other people. I'm putting it on for me, because if I get up and look in the mirror in the morning and go, ooh, I look so pale, I want to put
I love
makeup on,
color.
but it's for me. It's not really for anybody else. I don't really care about other people's opinions. It's just, their opinions.
Back. I've
So
always put on makeup since I'm
yeah.
14, even with
Yeah, me
lockdown for
too.
2 years. I still put on the makeup
Yeah,
because
me
I got
too.
mirrors virtually, one behind me, virtually in
Yeah.
every room of my house. I don't know why. It's not a vanity thing, but you know what?
Yeah.
Because it reflects light. And
Yeah.
so when I walk by the mirror, I do glimpse at myself. Oh, you look kind of nice. And if I don't, I go, oh, comb the hair, put on some makeup because it feels
Yeah.
good.
I think it boosts your self-esteem when you feel good about yourself. It's like if you go get your hair like all done really nice, like if you have, I'll give you an example of myself, with the sea plague that's going around. I live out in the country and we have one hairdresser, and that one hairdresser was closed down for a long time because of
Wow.
the mandates, because they closed everything down,
Mhm.
and people couldn't get their hair cut or colored or anything for a really long time. And then when she finally opened, then she was booked like 6, 7, 8 months out. So by the time I
Wow.
got into her, I had 6 inches of gray, like the gray was all the way down to my ears. And I have really long hair. It's really
Oh my
long.
gosh.
It's all the way down to my waist. It's down to my waist. But the first 6 inches was all gray. And I felt crappy every time I'd look in the mirror. It's like, oh my God, I look like my grandma. I'm not ready to look like a grandma. I don't have grandchildren yet. My kids still live at home and they're young. I have fairly young kids and they're still at home. And it's like, I'm not even, I'm still a mom. I'm not a grandma
Yes,
yet. It's like, why should I
exactly.
look like a grandma, when I'm not a grandma? Now I know there's some women who love their gray hair and blah, 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 blah. I think it's a
No.
personal preference
Yeah.
thing. But the
Yeah.
thing, the point is that when I
Yes.
went and finally had it colored, it boosted my self-esteem. And that's what this is all
Absolutely.
about. You need to do things for yourself that make yourself feel happy and good about yourself. And it doesn't matter what other people think about you. It's not, I'm here to impress the other women in my neighborhood or the other moms at the school or the other women at church. There was a church I went to years ago that all the women were really highfalutin, materialistic people. It
Mhm.
was like more of a upper middle class area and very materialistic. And all these women have to go to church wearing their Louis Vuitton, purse and
Yes.
their expensive $500 dress from Nordstrom and their $1,600 high heel that are
Shoes.
that high pumps. And then they had injections everywhere in their face, like Botox and this and that, and fake boobs and on it. I mean, it looked like Hollywood. It was like
Right.
plastic church. And I stopped going to that church because I couldn't take that anymore.
Right.
It's like, I'm not here to compete with those women, but they were all there to compete with each other. They were all like trying to show each other up. Oh, my boobs are bigger than yours. Oh, my lips are more injected than yours. I have a nicer $4,000 handbag than, my purses cost $20 from
Yep.
Target.
Yeah.
I don't
It's,
really care. I'm not a materialist, so I don't really
it's
care.
funny, when I was younger in my corporate career, I liked nursing up, so I did spend the money I had, but I didn't go into the
Yeah.
high end because I valued my investments more than a fancy purse for $2,000. So I found a happy medium. But I liked looking nice. Now everybody's working from home or more often, so we dress down. We don't need the same kind of clothes, but we still want to look good. So you know,
Yeah, exactly.
vibrant and
I think it's important,
comfortable.
but you don't have to do it because you're competing against other women or because you're trying to get every man in town to think you're the hottest chick on earth. You know, it's not for that. It's about, how do I feel about me? When I look in the
Exactly.
mirror, what kind of response does my heart feel? How does that make me feel about myself? Like I love myself, not, I don't care what other people think. It's, I love myself the way I am, and this makes me feel good. It makes me feel good when I get my hair done, or it makes me feel good, blah blah blah.
Absolutely.
And you know, if I don't ever do my fingernails, but if I did, I mean, there's some people who have to go get their nails done every week because that makes them feel good. If you ask them, why do you go get your nails done every week, all of my friends who do that, they'll say, because it makes me feel good. My mother did that too. She'd always go get her nails, you know, done,
Right.
and she said it made her feel good.
Well,
So
whatever works, right?
mhm.
And, you know, I'm like you. I never competed with anybody else. I would always compete with
Yeah.
myself. So I
Yeah,
created my
exactly.
own stress. So
Yeah.
I never competed with a woman for a man because that made no sense to me.
I never
Because
did either.
if I could be the
No.
better person, but if he's not attracted to me, what's the point? So I never
Mhm.
focused on that. So I always looked my best version that I could, but I always competed in, like, even at school with myself, getting the best job I could for myself at that time. I invested in my education. I invested in making sure I was comfortable in the work environment I was with and that I liked the job I was doing. So, and if, you know, I'd be at different levels in my corporate career, but I didn't compete with the people around me. I just made sure I did the best job. So whenever I do something, I get a little stressed, which I think is a good stress because it pushes me and motivates me to move forward in my career. And I try my best and I try to meet and exceed expectations. Not all the time, but that's my goal. Where some people, you know, like when they go to exams, I would try to get 100 or closest to as I could, be it 80 or 90. Whereas other people would go, nah, as long as I pass, I'm okay. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I went to school for an exam thinking I'm just going to pass, I'm going to be okay. It can't be just a pass. It's got to be better than that because that's how I am. So that would cause me stress, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. So this book that I wrote, it literally, I literally spent 5 years of my life, and it's so funny because it almost ruined my marriage and my whole family because they were disowning me because I was in my office writing 24/7, and I hardly, you know, I didn't get to spend time with my family, and I didn't have a choice because it's like, what, drag this out for another 20 years or just get it done. So, you know, I did the best, you know, I could. But I swear that after I was done with the whole experience, I said I'd never write another book again. And then I wound up writing another book.
Yeah. Never say never, right? We
Yeah.
don't use our word. Yeah.
Yeah. I said, I'll never ever do this again because it was so you know, it wasn't stressful for me per se, but it was stressful on my family because I wasn't there waiting on them 24/7 like they expected me to, because they had a lot of expectations of me and I wasn't meeting their expectations because I was busy writing this book to try to help humanity. Because my purpose of why I even came to Earth in the first place wasn't to go have a family. My purpose of coming to Earth was to help humanity. And
Exactly.
the family is just kind of like a cherry on the sundae, you know, it's a cherry
Mhm.
on this. It's nice to have the family, but that's not, I didn't come into a physical body form just for the purpose of being a mom and a wife and having kids. That's not why I came here. I came here to help humanity to ascend, and you know, to help with all what's going on right now, this great awakening and all that, and to help heal people and to teach people. And that's why I really came here. So
Well, maybe we can elaborate a little bit about that because I have a lot of clients who are very stressed.
mhm.
Actually, even though I'm in Canada, we used to be like the country of the freedom country of the world. A lot of Canadians cannot travel now. So I
Yeah.
have a couple of clients who I actually worked with last week. They're completely stressed. They're both about 60s, in their early 60s, and they kind of retired a couple of years ago to retire, take care of grandkids, and travel. And then they've been stuck for 2 years and they've lost themselves because they thought, oh, I'm going to, they downsized, bought smaller homes, and decided, okay, I'm going to spend more time with the kids and the grandkids and then want to travel. But they can't do that. So there's this tremendous stress that's going on. So I'm finding that I'm counseling a lot of my clients to go back into what they liked doing when they were children. And I know when I was a little girl, I used to like to teach. So I would, look what I do. I do that. I've done it my whole career. So I would line up my dolls on the couch and I'd be up there. I don't remember exactly teaching math or English or something. So I'd pretend there was a board behind me and I'd be talking to my dolls. And sometimes if my sister was bored, she'd join us. And then of course I would give homework. So then I would sit down on the couch with my dolls, and I'd pretend to be doing their homework that I learned probably in school that week. So what I've been trying to do is tell my clients now to look within, to find hobbies and interests to kind of boost themselves a bit and be a little more creative because they're stuck. So I encourage them to paint, to sing, to dance, maybe decorate their homes, to do something to get away because they're not moving, it's causing them tremendous stress. So by gently nudging them, I've got one who went out and she got herself her haircut done. She went to get herself a massage, a pedicure. She went to total self-care to figure out, okay, I'm a new me, now what am I going to do? Another one realized, oh, I'm a great artist. I'm going to go back to doing all this artwork I used to do. And she said, I'll do it with my grandkids. I said, yeah, but you know what? When you go buy your supplies, don't get them at Dollarama. Get them at a nice store for yourself. So when you do the art, you can do it with them, but for yourself to do something beautiful like you used to do. And they get all cheered up. So the stress goes right down a bit.
Right. So yeah, it's you were pointing to the chapter in the book that talked about subconscious stress. And so, do you mind if I talk about this a little?
Go ahead.
Because I think it's important. Okay. So with the system, it's physical stress, emotional stress, chemical, and environmental. That's what the program is. But then there's many categories under each one. I call it the puzzle. And I actually put a picture in the book of the stress puzzle. And there's all these pieces of the stress puzzle. There's diet, there's exercise, lack of diet, lack of exercise, chemicals, chemtrails, cigarettes, this, that, but I want to get into this emotional stuff. So everybody thinks of emotional stress as, oh, I'm unhappy, or oh, I'm angry, or my boss is an ass to me, or I hate my job, or I'm struggling, or I'm having financial stress. In fact, one of the top 10 killers of people, the most stressful things, if you look at the top 10 stressors, it's death of a family member, divorce, taxes, financial issues, and job and career, and moving. Oh, sorry, somebody's that's so weird. I don't understand why that's. Sorry about that. I'm going to try to turn I thought my phone was turned off. Sorry about that. Okay. So death, divorce, taxes, moving, that's really, those are the things that kill people. But what people don't understand is when you get into emotional stress, there are many types of emotional stress. There's conscious emotional stress that, like my boss is working me really hard and I hate my boss and that's stressing me out. That's conscious. Like I know that my job is killing me, or I know that, I hate my job. Okay. So that's conscious because it's on the top of your mind. Like you just know it. Like, that not having enough money is stressing you out. Okay. So that. Then there is past life emotional stress. So you can actually have past lifetime trauma, like you were raped and murdered in your last lifetime and you never did any kind of healing or clearing on that, and you bring that into this lifetime. So then it causes you intimacy problems with boyfriends, girlfriends, husband, wife, whatever. You have problems maybe even keeping a relationship because your relationships in your last life, your spouses or partners abused you, the whole time, and you didn't like clear that. So you have emotional trauma from past lifetimes, and that can actually affect you in this lifetime. You can also have emotional trauma from your ancestors that goes into your DNA through your epigenetics. That gets passed down generation after generation, and it causes sickness. And Dr. Bruce Lipton was the one who pioneered all of that research. He did 15 years of research at Stanford University. He taught medical school there, and he is one of the top cellular biologists in the world. And he was studying how stress affects every cell in your body, your mitochondria, your telomeres, everything, and how it rapidly ages you, you know?
Right.
And so all of these different types of emotional stress all kind of come together and form one big stress puzzle. So you've got the subconscious, the conscious, you know, all of it, it all comes together. But there's the big one of all that people don't understand, and this is where I'm going to blow people away, is 85% of your life is run by your subconscious thoughts. So what does that mean? That means the thoughts that are like playing like a tape in the back of your head. So I'll give an example. Let's say you're 6 years old, you have a sister, your mom gives your sister a lollipop and doesn't give one to you. So even though she didn't say anything to you, like, I hate you, I don't love you, da, 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 you now have a belief. My mom doesn't love me. She loves my sister more than me. That belief goes into your subconscious. It goes into your mitochondria, all the cells in your body. It affects your health, your entire life, until you forgive your mom and forgive your sister, and you do healing on that. Until you actually do healing on that, that will stay in your body and your mind and your spirit, and it will make you sick until you die. And the bad thing is usually most of our thoughts are, I think it's 80% or more, are usually negative. A lot of of most people. Now, not all people. There's people like myself where I spent years retraining my brain with cognitive behavioral therapy to think positive thoughts. Okay. So I will go
It's
ahead.
funny you said that, because
Yeah.
this made me think one time in my 20s and 30s, I'd walk down the street and subconsciously I would pick on somebody and like, oh, their shoes are scuffy. The shoes are the wrong color, or the purse doesn't match the shoes. And I was wondering, like, why am I even thinking these things? And I guess it came from my child. Yeah, so like I had these weird subconscious things that
Right.
wouldn't make any sense to me. And so one of my friends just says, well, you don't have to tell the person, but consciously just say, wow, that's a nice combination of shoes with that outfit. And so I started to turn those things around. And then I actually started to go and tell people, wow, you look amazing today. I like that combination. And it just changed my whole perspective. But it took me about a good year of programming myself consciously to try and unprogram that unconscious behavior. So, like, I don't really know where it came from, because my mother was a fashionista. Everything matched. Everything was well coordinated. And my
Yeah.
mom had the purses and the shoes matched, the hat and the gloves.
That
And
was my grandma. My grandma was
that
like
was my
that.
mom. We were always well dressed. So I don't know where it came from, this negative kind of perspective, but the negative talk was there. And then I realized it was also in the food. When someone would cook, I'm going like, what is this? So maybe in a past life, I was poor. I didn't have nice clothes. I had nothing to eat. So someone gave me
That is
hand-me-downs,
possible. Yeah. Or
and
you took a vow of poverty in a past life.
well, who knows?
Yeah, there's a
I'll
lot
ask
of
you.
people. There's so many people who I know who have abundance blocks or issues with money or materialism or whatever. And it's because they took poverty vows in a past life to be a priest or a nun or this or that. And or a missionary or whatever, and travel the world. There's a lot of people like that. But the subconscious thing. So back to the little girls. So let's say there's two little girls, one of them gets a lollipop, one doesn't, or a little girl and a little boy. I don't really care, but it
Right.
goes into the subconscious. So here's what happened. There is a tape playing in the back of your mind saying, mom loves my brother or sister more than they love me. And it's going on and on and on and on. And that eats away at you and it makes you sick. And you don't know it's there. That's why it's called unconscious or subconscious mind, because you don't really know that that's there. So let's say 30 years into your future now, you've long forgotten that ever even happened, because that happens. Bad things happen to you when you're a kid and you forget about it, right? And you move on. But the wound from that, it's almost like you were shot with a bullet and a little bullet went in and nobody ever took it out. It just stayed in there and it festers and it festers, and the wound will keep festering and it will become cancers and it will become autoimmune disorders and it will become bone diseases and this and that, and, other things, a tendency to break your bones all the time, whatever, falling and hurting yourself, people who get massive depression, or, you're depressed and you don't know why you're depressed. Well, because way back when you're a kid, blah, blah, blah happened, and then 85% of your life is driven by those subconscious thoughts. So one of the things I go over in my, it's why it's really important for people to take my, energy healing workshop, because I go over 40 different types of hands-on energy healing. And then I go over every type of energy medicine there is, sound healing, all that. And all of those are really beneficial for getting rid of subconscious stress. Really good. So there's things like Psych K, body talk, body codes, emotion codes, and a whole bunch of other EFT, EMDR. These are all things that they can use to help your subconscious programming of, another one is what we call wrong belief systems. Like, I have to work hard my whole life to make money, or all blondes are dumb, for example. I used to hear that growing up, the blondes are dumb. And then I became an adult and found out all the blondes in my life are way smarter than I am, and it's like, that's not true.
You're pretty bright.
Yeah, but I mean, my husband's a blonde, my daughter's a blonde, and they're brilliant people. My sister-in-law, she's like a PhD in mathematics or something. I mean, she's freaking brilliant, and she's a Scandinavian, blonde. So these are wrong belief systems that are put in our head when we're a kid, or even wrong beliefs that you can, again, inherit from your ancestors, like a wrong belief that everybody's going to hell that doesn't go to a specific church, or do this or do that, or if you don't do this, you're going to hell, or money is the root of all evil is a big one that causes a lot of poverty in people's lives. A lot of financial blocks are caused by that old money is the root of all evil, because generation after generation, they pass that idea down, and then it goes into the subconscious, and then it's passed down. So there are all these energy healing modalities that you can use to to peel away the onion layers and bring all this crap up to the surface and clear it out, so that your body, mind, and spirit can be healthy and not be impacted by all the stressors like this in your life. So it's really that simple.
Yeah, it sounds simple. One thing I wanted to maybe talk about is also to reduce the stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like physical activity, breathing exercises, meditation.
Oh, there's all hundreds of things in there that I talk about. Do you want me to go over some of those with people?
Sure,
just so they.
Yeah, a couple of things.
So
top of mind. Yeah.
So for just general stress that you're having in your life every day, or like if you suffer from anxiety, because I used to suffer from anxiety and panic attacks. So one of the things I specialized in was helping people who have panic attacks and anxiety attacks, because I was able to completely cure myself of that by doing on myself what I teach people. So the biggest thing is the breath work and the meditation. That is like the number one solution to any stress in your life, is basically going within, calming your body, mind, and spirit. And I also have a meditation course that I have online as well on how to meditate, but there's actually 108 types in that class. I'm just teaching one or two types, but there's 108 types of meditation. So even listening to 528 hertz frequency music, you could lie down in your bed and just put on your headphones and just listen to the frequency music and just focus your attention and your mind on that. And that will help chillax you, calm you down, make you peaceful. There's binaural beats. There's all the sound healing that you can use, singing bowls, tuning forks, to calm yourself down. There's herbs you can take, like my favorite is chamomile tea. I love CBD oil, and with or without THC, it doesn't matter. When I take it, it makes me really calm and peaceful. There's all kinds of vitamins you can take, like glycine is a really good mineral chilling yourself down. Ashwagandha. There's Eleuthero, which is an adaptogenic herb, that and Siberian ginseng, which are kind of adaptogens for people who are under a lot of stress in their life. It helps your body to deal with the stress, and it helps your adrenals. But just being quiet and calming your mind and your body and your spirit every day through meditating or listening to sound or music or singing. Singing is very soothing for the body. Going out in nature, spending time in nature, walking in the forest, going for a swim, any type of exercise is always going to be anti-stress, any type of exercise. If you have a sauna, like I have a sauna in my house, going and sitting in the hot sauna for a while, that's very relaxing. It calms your nerves, it calms your muscles, it calms everything. Taking magnesium, I take 500 milligrams of magnesium every night at bedtime, because that helps like hundreds of things in your body. But the biggest thing, it helps with the stress. And it calms your whole nervous system down. It calms all your muscles. It relaxes all your muscles. And thinking positive thoughts. So the biggest part of stress is the reason why people are stressed is usually because they are either pushing the fast forward button or they're pushing the replay button. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you're thinking about the past all the time, like negative things in the past, or you're focusing on the future, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen? You're worrying, because when you're worrying, you're actually in the future. You're not in the now moment.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the now moment, then you're fully focused on, I'm having a conversation with Zita, or I'm eating an apple, or I'm talking to my friend on the phone, or I'm doing my nails, and the smell of the nail polish is icky. I don't like it, but the color is pretty. And oh, my nails feel good when the lady scrubs on them like that. And, you're really like in the moment.
Yeah.
You're in the moment, feeling all the feelings, and you're getting out of your head. The best way to get out of a stress fight or flight response is to get the hell out of your head and go into your senses. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I sensing? What am I smelling? What am I tasting? What am I touching? Energetically, what am I feeling? Do I feel the vibration of the energy? Because that is called present moment awareness. And when you get into the present moment, I don't like to call it I don't like to call it mindfulness. I actually have a certification in mindfulness, but it's one of those cabal words that's kind of a black magic spell, because you're calling it mindfulness. So your mind is full, and you're trying to do the opposite of that. We don't want our mind full. We want our mind empty as much as possible.
Of
so
the negativity.
Yeah. So I call it positive. I call it present moment awareness, which is a better, description of it, which is staying in the present. Yeah. Present moment awareness, or staying present, presence, the word presence, just being present.
Correct. It's a gift.
Like, yeah, exactly. The present is a gift. And so let's say you and I went out to lunch at a restaurant together, and I'm sitting there and really listening to you and really focusing on the sound of your voice, maybe the color of your lipstick, whatever, but I'm really, really focused on you. If I'm sitting there and I'm 100% involved in that and present with you, I will not have any stress whatsoever. Why? Because I'm not sitting there and thinking thoughts in my mind of, what about this thing I have to go do? I have these papers I have to sign for this thing I'm doing, or a house or car, or I've got to go drop my kids at the blah, blah, blah. Or, you're not thinking about that. If you put all that aside and push it to the back, and you focus right now, what is happening right in this moment, and you keep going from moment to moment to moment to moment, that is going to heal you of a lot of your stress.
Yeah. And the other thing I'd like to also suggest is I like to do meditation, yoga, breathing, and all that kind of stuff. I listen to the music in the mornings before I get up. But yesterday, I don't know what it was. I was so hyper. I only had, I don't know what happened.
That's weird.
I only had one cup of coffee, and the whole day I was like zing. I was very productive, so it was good. But I needed to bring down the level. So I said, what? I'm going to go for a walk. I don't live very far from a waterfront. So it's about a 10-minute walk maximum. And so I went to the waterfront. I started walking, and I was watching the water in the river, and like all the snow has finally melted. Thank goodness for that. And I started taking pictures, and that started to calm me down. Watching the water going. There were ducks that were landing.
Water is very calming, so
That's why I
calming.
bought the house, to be near the water. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden I turned my head to the left and there was this car that went racing down and poof, brought me back to reality, and I got like anxious again. So I went and I started hugging trees. And I started
I hug trees all the time. I'm guilty, guilty,
yeah.
guilty, guilty. I do it all the time.
So fortunately, I put on my hoodie because it's still cold here. I put on my hoodie. I had sunglasses on, and I
Yeah.
kind of looked around and I grabbed the tree. When there were people, I just grabbed it.
The energy
It goes
is so
on.
wonderful. The energy is really powerful, and you can feel it in your body. Like you can
Yes.
actually, if you close your eyes and you hug a tree, or I actually teach my clients tree meditation where you put your back up against the tree and you literally
Okay.
feel the energy of the tree. You close your eyes, or you can put your left hand, your receiving hand on the tree, or you can hug it. It's up to you. But if you close your eyes and you just feel the energy, it is just amazing,
Yeah.
amazing energy and
That's
very
exactly what I
calming.
did yesterday. The problem being here, it's still cold, so like it's about 0 degrees or 32 Fahrenheit. So we're
Ooh,
still wearing, yeah, it's
that's
cold.
cold.
Yes. So we're still wearing like hard covered shoes, so you can't
Uh-huh.
connect. So the only with the Mother Nature, so the only thing we're able to connect here is either with our face or hands. So I took off my gloves and I just wrapped them around, and I did this I'd say 8 to 10 times, and I decided to name different trees. And not that I remember them now, but it was fun doing that because it totally disconnected me from anybody around me. It disconnected me from any problems I may have been experiencing, and my anxiety went down right to zero. I came back energized. I had solutions for a whole bunch of things. I wanted to buy a new car or lease it. I wasn't sure what to do. The answer came to me yesterday, and now I know exactly what to do. It was just being able to be there in that moment, release that negative talk, that zing, 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 zing in your head,
Mm-hmm.
and relax. So, what I wanted to share, like, although we might meditate or do yoga, it may not work one time. So, it's good to try something different. So, it's good to have a toolbox of
Absolutely.
different things, because some people say, oh, I'm just going to go for a run, but that day that run may not do what you need. You might need the opposite. You may need to meditate. So that's something that's important, and that's covered in her book.
Yeah, I exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much for pointing out the toolbox. So the biggest gift that I give everybody in this book is a stress management toolbox. So it's putting together your toolbox. I teach you everything you need to know. It's very simple. You could be literally the stupidest person on earth and you'll be able to figure this out. I dumb everything down, make it really simple, but it's all about gathering all of the different skills and information and knowledge and whatever you need. You know, it's not a real toolbox, obviously, but I mean, it's an ethereal toolbox, but
Absolutely.
it's basically a collection of all the ideas and things that you have. I mean, it could be actual tools, like could be a singing bowl for your third. This is my third eye singing bowl. I have all kinds of singing bowls. Could be a tuning fork. It could be I have a drum around here, you know, somewhere that I like to play.
Absolutely.
But it could be that, or it could be a mental tool that you are taught how to use, like your breathing or something like that, or doing yoga or whatever. But it's basically putting together this list of a go-to list so you don't have to think about it. Because if you're already a highly stressed individual and you have to go and sit around and go, oh my gosh, what do I do to get rid of this stress? And then you have to think it over. Guess what that's going to do? That's going to make you more stressed.
Exactly.
So the purpose of my book is to give you everything you need right there on a list. So you have this list, and I call it your go-to toolbox list, because you basically say, okay, I'm feeling stressed today. I'm going to pick up my list, and then here it is. I'm going to do number 1, or I'm going to do number 4, number 5, and number 7. And tomorrow I'm going to do number 1 and number 2. But you have it already there. And it's stuff that is important to you, that is good for you, that you like. It really resonates for you. It's not my tools. It's not Zita's tools. It's not the neighbor next door's tools. It's your personal, it's the things that resonate with you, that make you feel good, that you want to use, you know, to calm yourself down.
Yeah.
And it's written, because it's written down, it makes it so much easier than to be sitting there going, oh my God, now I got to go research or Google or do this to figure out what do I do, because I'm feeling really panicky right now. I'm having a panic attack. What do I do? You know, and it's like, Well, at that moment, when you're having a panic attack, the last thing you need is to have to go research, what do you do for a panic attack? That's like the
Right.
worst thing. Then you're gonna, because I remember me when I was in the middle of a panic attack and I'd be like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And the wondering what to do part made me more panicky and
Absolutely.
more anxious. So if you already know what to do, because Kimberly Palm has given you this list, you know, you have
Yeah.
this like thing, and you can go there and you can read it and you can say, okay, you know, I decided out of all the things I learned from Kimberly, I'm going to do this one, this one, and this one. And you got it right there. There's no guessing. There's no worrying about it. There's no thinking about it. Even you just go, you grab it, you do it, and you're done. And that's it. It's really easy breezy.
Yeah, and if you are anxious, what I do like the way you've divided, although you mentioned it earlier, you have like main chapters where you say what is stress. You talk
Mhm.
about physical stress, you talk about emotional stress, you talk about chemical stress, and then you talk about environment and others. So depending on that moment in time, if you have a moment, you can pause, you can grab the manual and look what you're experiencing, and boom, you have the answer there for you. What's really good about it, it's not something you have to read cover and cover in the first shot. It's not something you got to memorize, and it's not like a book where there's a
No,
storyline, so that you don't, and there's no test at the end either, so it's no stress.
yeah, no tests.
No test, there's homework, but no stress, right? No
No, and it's
test.
up to you if you want to do the homework. I'm not there to hold your hand. So if you don't want to do it
Exactly.
and you say, screw Kimberly, I'm not doing this homework, you know, that's your problem. I don't care.
But as a life coach, I
Yeah.
care a little bit
Yeah.
because I know the advantages. Of course, everybody can
Yeah.
decide if they want to or not. So when I give my
Right.
workshop at the end, I give them homework and something very simple. It's not like they have to go home and study for an exam, but they have to find little things they can do that can implement easily in their lives to
Yeah.
change their behavior,
Exactly.
to reduce anxiety, depressions, and stress levels and stuff. That's what's really important for that.
Right. And Zita and I will hold you accountable because I'm also, I mean, I've been life coaching people since 19. Well, unofficially, I've been life coaching people since I was 12 years old. So that's 44 years of life
Yeah.
coaching people. But officially, I've been life coaching people since about 1998.
Wow.
And so that's like a really long time. And so it's been like 24, 25 years of
Right.
like life coaching people. And so I will hold you accountable and responsible, and so will
Yes.
Zita. So even though I say I don't care if you do what I say or do, if you're my client, I do care, because if you're my
Absolutely.
client, I'm going to hold you accountable, because I don't want you coming back to me and saying a week later, you know, things are still the way they are. And I'm going to say, well, did you do this, this, and this? And if you say no, I'm going to say, well, how do you expect your life to improve if you're not going to do it? If you don't do the work, your life will not go anywhere. It's going to stay the same as what it is. The only way that you're going to see changes, you have to actually do what Zita and I tell you when Zita's counseling you or I'm counseling you. If you don't do what we tell you to do, you're not going to have any change or improvement in your life. And that's the bottom line. So
So I think that would bring us a bit down to the problem. Why wouldn't someone do that? Why wouldn't they do the little homework we assign if they know for a fact that they can
fear,
fear, exactly.
fear blocks, it could be blocks, and also laziness. I actually have some clients that, I hate to say, I don't have them now, but I've had them in the past. And I mean, I haven't spoke to these people in years because I won't even deal with those kind of people anymore. But I've had people who were downright lazy asses. They just didn't want, they wanted a magic solution for everything, and they didn't want to put any effort in whatsoever. So now I've made it, the last 3 years I've been doing this work with people. I made a pledge to myself. I refuse to work with people who are lazy asses, who want me to just hand them the fix, to wave a magic wand and make their life fixed. Basically, I'm not working with those people.
You
I'm
know what I
working with
do? I'm
what?
sorry. Yeah, you know what I do with my clients? I
What?
make them sign a contract
Oh, that's
with
good.
themselves.
Yeah.
I have a formatted contract. If you book more than one session, say like 4 sessions in a row, or if
Hmm.
you book one of my programs, I get you to sign a contract that you commit yourself to doing the work to get things going, because I don't want them coming back at me, but also it's in their best interest because they're coming here for the help, right? And I make them take this and look at it, read it 3 times, because the first time they're going to glance over all the buzzwords, the second time they might absorb, but the third time it sinks in, there's a commitment. So they
Hmm.
need to make that commitment to themselves to encourage me, to encourage them to move forward. And I got to tell you, none of my clients have not attained their goals without signing those contracts. Because if they don't do their homework, I bring up the little contract and I slip it down. I say, you see this little paper? You sign the little paper.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. I don't make them sign a contract, but I do tell everybody that if they put in the work that I give them to do, if I tell them what to do and they put in the work, then they're
Right.
going to have 100% positive result. I can't tell them what the result will be because it's different for everyone, but I always say that the result will always be a positive result if they put in the work. And so far, 100% over the last 3 years, 100% have gone away and come back and said, oh my God, you changed my life and did this and blah. And it's like, and I tell them, no, it isn't me, it's you. I just gave you the tools you needed. You do the work, and God, it's you and God, like when I was doing healing work on people for years and years, I was doing a lot of hardcore healing work on people, and people would always say, oh, you healed me. And I'd say, I didn't heal you. I gave you what you needed to work with God to heal you.
And they had the will to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They had the self-interest, the self-love, and the self-care. And this is what I'm doing in this series. But since we're back on that subject, I thought I'd talk about
your cards.
Yeah, my cards. Like all my clients know, I love reading oracle cards. And this is my last deck of cards that I bought about 2 weeks ago. I also have an unboxing video I did on YouTube. So if you've never bought an oracle deck card and you want to know what I do as a ritual when I get the box, because this box traveled all over, come here, so I knock it, and I talk to the deck, and then I always date every time, so I put a date. So it reminds me when I look back in time, why did I get this? And I reflect back and I realize I got this for a very specific reason in that time of my life. And this time, this deck came up just as I launched my courses. So what I want to do is encourage you. I'm going to put the link below in the description if you guys want to know what an unboxing is like. So then you can go through the same ritual that I do. And I also cleanse it with sage, all my decks and my cards, so that I remove any energy from anybody who had handled the deck of cards before. So before I do every reading, as Kimberly, you know, I knock my deck, and then I kind of shuffle, and I like to play with them. I let a card jump. So what I'm going to do is do a little reading for our guests and see our audience as well, and for everybody, to see what we can do to self-help ourselves, so love ourselves a bit more. And there's a reason sometimes I shuffle the decks before I record, because some take a while, as you've experienced, it take a while for a card to pop. Okay, there's one. Oh, this one's called Listen to Feedback.
Oh. Wow.
We've been giving a lot of advice here, and as coaches, clients should listen to our feedback. So isn't that interesting? What's beautiful about this deck, you got an image, you'll have a high level description of the message of the card, and then there's a definition at the bottom, which I'll read for you now. Nothing can make you feel small unless you allow it. When you take from feedback and you respond in entirely within your control. Sorry, let me read that again. Nothing can make you feel small unless you allow it. What you take from feedback and how you respond is entirely within your control. So, isn't that important for us? Clients,
that's such a gorgeous card. It looks like a peacock.
It's like a woman with these beautiful feathers, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
So, it's important that when you seek advice to listen to it, because most people, like Kimberly and I, we're here to help. That's our purpose, right? We're healers, we're intuitives, we're here to help you. In helping you, we help ourselves, and that's how we're going to help everybody on the planet, right? So when we help somebody, they're going to be in a good mood. They may pass it forward, correct? Like they may make somebody else feel better in their day. So there's my message for you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful card. Very simple, yet very pertinent to our discussion. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, what's really interesting is I think you told me you had 30 decks of cards or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you collect a lot of cards.
Yeah, I find it's a lot of fun. There's many things. There's the messages, of course. And I find as I'm reading cards, some of the messages that I'm looking for to be answered are not maybe in the deck. It's a little less so now than in the past. Now I find the decks that I choose are more for the artistic presentation because they're
Mhm.
very visual, very beautiful. So you might have 10 tarot card decks, which are
Mhm.
based on the same original tarot
Same
deck.
arcana. Yeah.
Exactly. But different artists have different paintings,
Mhm.
different artistry. So this way, when you get a different tarot deck card, you'll have the same King of Swords theme, but the visual will have different images which are pertinent to that reading for that person that would not be in another card deck. So the messages that are transmitted are different. And I find that very interesting that when I'm meeting different clients, I have a little tickle box of about 8 to 10 decks of cards that I use when I meet a client for the first time. But then I tune into their energy, and usually I'm guided to take 2 or 3 other decks. And as I do the reading, different things pop out and different messages pop out for different people. So that's why
Well,
it's not really possible to just go and do card readings with one deck. And even the tarot, it's there you could use a couple of tarot decks to superimpose them to expand and explain more and more detail. So as you progress in your knowledge and reading the cards, oracle cards, angel cards, or tarot, however you want to describe them, you become more proficient and you know how to tune in to the messages. And also, I get guided, so I get downloads of information. So
yeah, me
I,
too. I can get all
you, of
that.
course,
Yeah.
I ask a lot of my clients, without giving me too much information, is to perhaps ask questions. And asking the questions, I pick up their vibrations and I get the information. And then often, before they even ask the question, the cards flip with the answer. And that's what's really interesting. That's really
That's
fun.
so cool. Yeah, the card thing, I don't do it very much for my clients. Like I have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 decks of cards that I have, and they're all either angel cards, they're angel oracle cards. I have one ascended master oracle card deck and one medicine card deck. It's a Native American medicine card deck. I don't have tarot cards. I have no clue how to read tarot cards. I've never learned how, like I've had tarot card readings given to me
Mhm.
hundreds of times over the years. I've never had a motivation to learn tarot. It's just, it doesn't resonate with me as far as, learning it. And it's not that I don't like tarot, because I go get readings all the time. I just had, like, I was just sharing with you before we came on about how my computer broke while I was getting a tarot reading from my best friend, because
Exactly.
my best friend is a tarot card reader and she was doing a reading for me. And I love receiving tarot card readings. I just don't have the motivation to go like learn that. And I think it's because as a psychic, clairvoyant, clairaudient, all the stuff I have, I literally ask a question of my bosses and I get an answer immediately. And when I
Absolutely.
say bosses, I'm talking Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Mother, Father, Source, Christ, Yeshua Christ, Mary Magdalene, those are the beings I work with. um I usually can ask them a question. Like I don't need to ask the card a question, because I can ask them and I can get an answer direct from that pure channel. And I protect the heck out of myself so I don't get infiltrated or,
Absolutely.
hijacked by AI or some weird ass crap like a lot of people do. So I really protect myself. But I get my answers that way. Sometimes I get my answers as a download, like the information will just show up in my head. And sometimes I'll like channel the information out. And when I say channel, I'm speaking words that are not from my head, like from my knowledge. Like I'll be telling people, oh, when you were 6 years old, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even know them. I don't know anything about what they did when they were a kid. And they're like, oh my God, how do you know that? And it's like, that's not me talking. That's
Just
the
the
boss. He
knowledge.
knows what you did when you were 6 years old. I don't know what you did when you were 6 years old.
Yeah.
So, stuff will come out of my mouth, words will come out, and it's always stuff. I think something came out of my mouth when we did our women's group earlier today, and that was not for me. There was one sentence that came out and it's like, oh, that's interesting. That was not for me.
That's
That
not
was
something you would say.
no, it's not. And a lot of times how they speak is they speak very old fashioned. Like, for example, when Yeshua told me, the meek shall inherit the earth and the evil ones will be leaving here. I don't speak like that. That's very,
Yeah.
he speaks like that. I don't speak like that. He said the meek will inherit, the good people will be staying here and creating new heavenly earth, and all of the 3D evil pedo, nasty, rotten, crazy people will be off our, they're going to another planet, which that's for another video. We're not going to talk about that now, but I'm just explaining how I will get this information. Sometimes I'll hear him clairaudiently talk to me. Other times the information just like shows up. And then other times it's coming out of my mouth. Like I'll start like chanting like a song. Like I recorded a heart healing chakra, and that came through my voice through singing. And I was just in my car and I just started singing the words in Hebrew. I am love, I am light, I am truth, I am. But it was in Hebrew, and it was coming through me in Hebrew, chanting that. And I recorded that, because that was the language they spoke, back then. But that's the kind of stuff that I do. And so that's why I think I'm not motivated to learn those cards, because then I think the cards would kind of interfere with the flow I have going on. I have like a really nice, I have a really nice relationship with my source, my creator, and this flow of this beautiful information that comes through to all my clients and to everybody I work with. And when I'm doing my videos on my YouTube channel, on my Spiritual Growth Journeys YouTube channel, the information that comes through, it's this beautiful, it just has a beautiful flow, and I don't have to use cards. But this because you've been in my women's groups, but every now and then source will tell me, pick a card. Like somebody will say, do you have a message for me? And they'll say, oh, you need to give her one of the cards. And then they'll tell me which deck I need. They'll actually instruct me which deck it comes from and all of that. So every now and then I'm told to pull a card, but otherwise the cards are not a thing for me. They're just,
Well, the thing, it's funny because when I first started reading them actively about 7 years ago, the cards I would use, and it was more, sometimes it would be just an image or something. It's not like I would just because everybody has their own personal style. And what works for me is I'll see different images, and all of a sudden a storyline comes up. And then I'll ask the client different questions, and the answer is there because imagery comes there. And then as we're conversing, different information just comes through. So reading the cards is the technicality, but what happens, I find, is that I open up like a box of information, like a Pandora box, and there's this flood of information that comes in. So many times, even when the client is offline or gone, I'm still getting this download of information, and the cards are gone and put in boxes. It's just like, it's almost like an excuse to say something. The card will come up and, like for example, here it says to change your environment. I just grabbed a card, and it's something the person may be stuck at home. So I tell them, listen, maybe you should go into the office, go to the park, go see your sister, go see some family members. So the information will come very quickly, with or without the cards, with or without the client in front of me. So many times before I even have my session with my clients, I get information about them, and I meditate on that, because sometimes it comes across very powerful. One client called me in from California actually, and her message was, oh, I really need to book a session with you. But when I opened that message up, I got hit by this very, very, very aggressive and very nervous kind of energy. And when I finally got to see her the next day, I asked her, what is going on with you? Because I felt this horrific energy. And she says she was trying to get away from her husband. She suspected he may have murdered his first wife. So she,
my God, not so scary.
Yes, it was. Yeah. And I felt it. I didn't sleep the whole night. So without her before we even opened up the conversation, I said, wow. Oh my God, what's going on? So the cards are a tool, and I often, like you, I get the downloads, I get the energy, I get the information. So as time goes on, the information I find comes faster and more informative, and the clients are always kind of blown away, because most often I just have their names. I don't even know what they look like, because they'll send me an email, they book something, and then I see them for the first time on the screen. And it's really interesting. That's when if you're reading the cards well, or you're getting the information, because you say something and they don't even know. I've never met them before. I just have a name.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really something.
Stronger and stronger.
Well, I want to tell everybody and you about this interesting story. So my best friend growing up, who I'm still friends with, we've been friends since we were 14. Her grandma was a psychic.
Okay.
And her mom was psychic too. And her grandma was famous in our neighborhood for reading the cards for everybody. She was like the little grandma, the little Greek. She was Greek. She was this little Greek grandma that read the cards, for
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
And she was amazing. But anyways, she used playing cards. She never ever in her whole life used a tarot deck. She used a playing card deck. And when I asked her, Grandma, how are you? Because I always called her grandma because she was like a grandma to me. So I just called her grandma.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Grandma, how come you just use playing cards and you don't use tarot cards? And she said, because they're just a focal point for me. She said, I can use that picture. She
Yes.
said, see that picture on the wall over there? She said, sometimes I just use that. She said, it's just basically something for me to focus my mind on so the information comes through.
Well, she's
So
actually very psychic because um, playing cards is a form of tarot.
mhm.
So the clubs, the hearts, and the diamonds and the spades refer to the actual tarot deck. So like the Ace of Spades is like the One of Swords. So there
Okay.
is a direct connection.
Okay. I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, and if you look at playing cards, there's a prince, there's a queen, and there's a king, and there's an ace, and then there's 1 to 10, and that's
Mhm.
very very similar to tarot. You get the 1 to 10 cards of a suit, then you have the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. So you have the same amount of cards pretty much. I think there's 54 in a tarot and 52 in a playing card because there's no jokers, and maybe there's wild cards. You can add them up, but about 90% of playing cards are the tarot. And in the tarot, there's actual visual of, so the Ace of Swords, you would have, remember today in the session we had, I showed you the one arm with the sword, the arm of God. Well, that represents a certain visual. And if you know what that tarot card is, and if I got the ace of diamonds, I should say, I would know that card is matched with that. So instinctively, my mind would go to that tarot card. So what they used to do back in the day is kings and queens would use poker cards or playing cards, and they would give it to a knight, and the knight would transfer or go galloping with the horse with that card and
Mhm.
bring that card, and the person receiving it would know the message because intuitively they would know what that is linked to the actual tarot, and they'd go to the tarot card and the message would be there. So, and then if the person was psychic, they could
Wow.
read the energy that was transmitted onto the card. But like people can touch your jewelry, your watch, and a picture, and they can read energy. So often they would have someone in the kingdom who would receive the card and be able to read it to the king based on that one soul card. So this way, the person traveling doesn't have a scroll. He would be traveling with a playing card or 2 cards, for example, and he would go present this to the person at the other end. So someone like me would get the 2 playing cards. I could tell you what they meant, and you'd look at them and you just see diamonds. And you go, "What is she talking about?" Because they're associated to actual tarot reading cards. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Thanks for telling me about that. I
yeah,
had no clue.
yeah,
That's awesome. Everybody learned something today. That's awesome.
exactly.
So I'm looking at the time and I
Yes,
actually have to run
yes,
because I have to be somewhere before it closes.
sure.
So
What
do
I
we want
wanted
to
to
both
do perhaps
talk?
is close about our Learn It live
Hmm.
shows.
Hmm.
Perhaps you want to share with us the
Yeah,
first
so
one?
Zita and I both are teaching classes through, I don't teach it through like Zoom or anything like that. I teach it through a platform that's called Learn It Live. It's LearnitLive. She will share our our links, and it's also on my classes are actually on my website, spiritual growth journeys with an s.com. If you go to my classes and workshops, you can read about what the classes are, and if it's interesting, then you can click on the Learn It Live link. But Zita and I are doing it through this company called Learn It Live. And the reason that we chose that is because it's kind of like a turnkey operation. We
Right.
don't have to be responsible for doing follow-up emails or collecting money or canceling and this and that and sending message. Everything is right there. Like I can message all my students through it. They collect the money. It goes right to PayPal or it goes to their credit card or however they want to do it. But we're basically teaching it there. And the main reason that I picked it is because everybody who teaches through Learn It Live is either teaching spiritual concepts or healing or something, what they call woo woo, whatever, or like metaphysics. It's not a platform where you get to learn business classes, or you learn how to run a corporation, or how to be a manager, or how to get a job, or anything like that. This is a place where you go. They have yoga classes, a lot of them on there. They've got meditation a lot on there, counseling kind of, things. I do my weekly women's meetup group. I have a weekly women's spiritual support group that I do on there 2 times a week. And then I have all my classes and workshop, and then Zita has classes on there, and we're both
intuitive coaching, healing courses.
intuitive coaching and all that. So she's doing stuff, and some people do their private sessions through there too. They don't just do classes, they do private sessions through that venue. I choose not to do it that way. I do mine on the phone. And so, because I need to be able to close my eyes and tune into your energy, not stare at your face. I want to be able to just tune into the energy. So I like doing it through the phone. But we just wanted to share this with you because Learn It Live is a great place to take classes, and they work with people all over the world. My clients come from all over the world. My students in my courses are from Israel, from South Africa, from Australia, New Zealand, and anybody can go through there, because we can either do live or pre-recorded classes. And in my case, what I usually do is I will do the initial class live, and then I will record that class. And what is all up there now for me at this time are all pre-recorded that were live. In the future, I'm going to be doing a manifestation course coming up soon. I'm also going to be doing a course for children and their parents to do a meditation together. It's going to be, I did a poll on Facebook, Zita, and I asked people if they'd be interested in me creating a meditation that they can do with their kiddos. To help them with stress and bullying and, just different stuff like that. And so I'm going to be doing a guided meditation that's for the kiddos that the parents do with the kids. It'll benefit both of them at the same time. And it's a great way for families to bond together. The whole family can sit and, do it. So I'll be doing that. That will probably be live when I do it, initially, and then it'll be recorded and then redone. I'm not sure yet. I may just pre-record it and then put it up. I'll have to see. But the Learn It Live platform is a good place to go to get spiritual courses, metaphysics, esoterics, emotional healing stuff. There's a lot of emotional healing and counseling and life coaching kind of stuff in there. A lot of motivational, like stuff that's like self-help, motivation, enlightenment, all of that kind of stuff. It's all on that website.
Yes, it's all open for us to explore different courses to offer to our clients, and everybody can go and learn, because I go and I learn and I register.
Yep, me too. I take classes on there, and anybody can take classes on there. It's just open to anyone around the world. And this is a really awesome way for Zita and I to bring the teachings that we came to Earth to help people. And this is our way of being able to help people all over the world without having to get on an airplane and travel, especially when we're in lockdown situations and we can't even really leave or go anywhere. Like, I'm able to actually work with people in countries where I'm not allowed into right now, but I'm allowed in through their computer. So I can still work with all these people, but I'm doing it via computer. So it's an amazing venue, and hopefully you will check out both Zita and my courses, because everything that her and I do is complementary to each other. I do things completely different than her. I teach energy medicine and how to be your own psychic, and a lot of different types of things than what Zita's doing. Yeah, she's doing things different, but both of our offerings go together. So if you work with me, you're going to want to work with her too, because it kind of makes, it's like I said, the puzzle, the stress with the parts of the puzzle, Zita and I make up kind of like a healing puzzle. So if you took a puzzle of healing, of total mind, body, spirit healing, you put a little Zita, a little Kimberly, a little of my friend Victoria, a little of Sandra, a bunch of my friend Sandra. I have all of these wonderful healer teacher friends, and every one of us has like a different modality or something that we're doing, but when you put it all together, it makes like a whole package.
A perfect example of this kind of work we do is I'll have a client come see me and I'll do a reading, and then they go to you and you complement what I told them. So without you even knowing that they came to see me, they've gotten my reading, and they come to you and they ask you specific questions and you give them answers, and they come back to me, oh my God, Kimberly told me this, the same thing. So it's wonderful because it's a cross-reference. It's not necessarily a repetition of
They're getting
information.
confirmation because they may be a
Exactly.
little doubtful. I will get a lot of clients who are really doubtful. Like they will go to other psychics and they'll say, I went to this psychic and she told me da 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 da. I want you to tell me whatever. And then I will confirm whatever that is. Or
Right.
sometimes I will say they're totally wrong. Once in a
Right.
while, I'll say they're totally wrong. This is what I'm getting. But when it's my friends, like I notice when the people who they're seeing are my friends, you know, people who I'm on the same sheet of paper with you,
Right.
we're always getting all the same answers.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and just so you guys know, these people aren't telling me what that person told them. Okay, so they're not saying she said this, is this true? They are asking me a question and I'm telling them the answer and they're going, thank you, that's exactly what your friend Zita said. That's what they'll say. They'll say, I went to Zita and she said the same thing. And I'll be like, well, then why did you bother coming to me? And it's because they kind of doubt, you know, they're not really sure and they want confirmation, you
Or
know.
I think it's not they, or if it's like really good news, they just want to make sure it's right. And
Hmm.
I find those who are at the beginning of their journey of spirituality, they tend to do that a bit more. And then once they understand, if I go to Kimberly or Zeta, the information is going to be the same. So it's more of a personality or what kind of style they want. So if they want more of a download with you, or a past life or outer planet kind of experience information, they'll come to you. For me, it's more, okay, you know this about you from Kimberly, let's move forward. So I kind of get the information as a coach and I move over with them. I said, okay, here's your plan, let's do this, let's move forward. So it's
Yeah.
wonderful how that works.
Yep. And I do soul readings for people. Like I tell you, you know, where you came from before you were here, how many lifetimes you lived, what the origin of your soul is, how many spirit guides and angels you have. I can do the same for your spouses, your family, whatever. You know, I've answered questions for people about, should I move away in the next few months, or where should I move, or, you know, those kind of things. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that I answer. Most of the time, what I really enjoy though, is teaching metaphysics, teaching protection techniques to people. Like, how do you grid your house? I've had lots of people come to me who had ghosts in their house, who had demons.
Yes.
They had family members with attachments. And then I have to teach them, here are the steps, the demonology steps, how you get ghosts and demons out of your house, how you grid and protect your house. I'm really, really into shamanic kind of practices because I am a trained shaman. I trained with a Navajo Native American elder many years ago, and was trained in the shamanism. And then you know, I use all kinds of, and then I use my own techniques that I've come up with, but I have all these different protection techniques that I like to teach people. Love to teach people metaphysics, love to teach people how to use different tools to heal their body. That's a big thing that I do, mainly is focusing on teaching people how to heal themselves. Because
Very
self-healing has become kind of my lifetime passion and expertise. So
yes.
self-healing is a big thing for me. So yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close up with a final review of your book. So, The Real Fountain of Youth, An Introduction to Peace Stress Management System by my dear guest and friend, Kimberly Palm. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I so appreciate you, Zita. I really
Pleasure.
appreciate you having me on your channel and your friendship and all that you're doing out in the world too, to help people and shine your light. I really appreciate you. So
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Yay.
So I'll put all our links, our information in the description below. Websites, courses, books, everything. Have a great day. Thank
Bye
you.
everyone. Thanks.
Bye.